This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave. Alright, so yes, here we have the Halfshell of the group. For those of you who don't know, he is a very caring leader, apparently. I wouldn't know, I didn't watch before a second, but yeah. He is the largest of the group, as he is the torso, which usually consists of a Voyager-class size figure, though with all the accessories this guy comes with, he might as well be a modern leader. Padoom ching, haha, funny joke. You get the joke? Because normal modern leaders are just old Voyagers, but with more accessories. Ha ha ha. It's But yes, here we have Halfshell in all of his glory, and this is where the bluish-green color really shines. We'll see more in the robot mode, but let's go more in depth with this boy. Starting off with the head, it's very nicely sculpted, in my opinion at least. I love all the detailing, honestly. I also really like the metallics. Like, he's got the bronze and the bit of the greenish down there. And he's got, like, the gold up top. And he's the only one here with a Predacon symbol. But yeah, the Predacon symbol's very nicely done. Nice and purple. I really like it. But, yeah. Moving on to his titular shell, it's made of a bunch of different pieces, so this is the only bit that naturally should go there, because these are weapon bits on his legs, and this is like a shield that is on his back, but you move both of those via parts forming through the transformation. But honestly, it's honestly super cohesive. A lot more cohesive than you would expect, honestly, especially with his stupid Blastoise cannons showing up. But yeah, I also really like the sculpting here on the shield piece especially. We'll get more into that in a couple later bits. But yeah. These upper legs are honestly kind of puny, and they're probably my least favorite bit of the turtle mode. But they're just honestly super small, especially compared to the back legs. They got like vents here, but that's more of a detail for the robot mode. Yeah, they're super puny, and they have a tendency to bow inward like that. It's just super annoying. And the back legs here, they're pretty solid. These honestly have a tendency to be a bit floppy, that's leading him to do that, which is my biggest complaint. These back legs are honestly a bit floppy, which we'll get even more into when we use them as arms, and then as legs later on. But yeah, I like the painting though on them. Like, if we turn around to there, that's paint. And it's a very nice paint. And it matches with the sculpted one pretty well. Also, he has a head up his ass. For turtle mode, I actually kind of want to go into the weapon compatibility because it works kind of well. So we get the feet pieces, which we'll go more in detail later on, and we fold them up into these cannons. And then you just kind of slap him onto the 5mm ports on his back. And sadly on my copy, the claw bits are a bit loose. A bit loosey-goosey. But it's fine. It's a fine piece to have a bit loose, and then boom, we got those cannons, and then you take the gun, and you slap it like right there, and that fell again, and it fell into my part bin. Sorry about that. It's sword. Does the sword go? Once again, we'll go more in detail on these accessories later on, but I don't know where I'm gonna put the sword. I'm just gonna. And there we have Halfshell all accessorized up, and it's fine. Bit slapdash. I prefer him without all the accessories on him, but yeah, this is one of the more cohesive ones, so that's why I felt it was important to show it, as he's basically at a leader price point when you order him on his own, so might as well show him off with all of his leader accessories, you know? But since I don't like to go super in-depth on the accessories here in the beast mode until we get to the robot mode, let's just go straight into his articulation, shall we? So So to start off, his head is on a pair of hinges, one down here at the bottom, one up here at the top, which allows him to kind of do that, allows him to look up and down, as a turtle should, I guess, and then he's able to do that. And he also has an opening mouth, which reveals some nice painted tongue detail, which once again wasn't necessary, but it's always greatly appreciated. These front legs only have ball joints here, and they basically act as swivels, because if you try to use them, they only go inward, which is not a point of articulation you're going to be using. However, they can hinge forward and back, but I've seen that sometimes that can untab it, so it doesn't really count, does it? Moving on to the hind legs, we got these ratchet joints that moving backwards are honestly deathly scary. You can hear them now, it's honestly extremely tight. Then we have these super loose mushroom pegs for back legs. We'll get to those later. And we have the back legs on hinges. Don't go too far or else they'll peg in. You know, which that's used more so on the combined mode, which we'll get to in a little bit. Yeah, and that's basically all his articulation. Not super stellar, but then again, it is a beast mode. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not going to leave him here like this anyways. So for the sake of size comparisons, to measure Halfshell out, he stands to the top of the shell about 3 and a bit inches. You know, 3 to 3.5 inches. But you're really going to care more about his length, in which he is about 6 3/4 inches long to the back of the foot. And to compare him to other figures here, we have Marvel Legends Iron Man Mark 7, Voyager Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, Earthrise Leader Optimus Prime, another four-legged friend, Commander Class Skylynx, Review 24, the Deluxe Class Waspinator, MMC Reformatted Coulter, and another Predacon Kingdom Deluxe Class Black Arachnia. Ooh! Ooh! Gotta hide that away for later. Ooh. Later review. See you guys next time. Ooh. But yeah, as you can tell, Halfshell, because his other name is Turtler, is a pretty big boy. However, I don't think he really shines until we get to robot mode. So let's do that, shall we? Through a transformation sequence. Starting off, I'm actually going to start with the arms here. Or at least a little bit of them. What you're going to do is fold them upward, like so. Sorry, I didn't show it. So yeah. You're going to fold them upward, and you're going to move the claw bits out of the way and behind his arms. And boom, there we have the arms. We'll get more in depth on that later. Because for now, we are going to do the head, or the torso. So you're going to want to fold down the turtle head until it pegs into the peg that you saw previously. Then you're going to want to untab these, which will lead you to untab this. Fold down the legs like so, which is, as previously seen, kind of a point of articulation. And then we're going to fold these in until the lower legs, their tabs go into those tab slots as seen here, and boom, you have his torso armor. From there, we're going to want to swivel that around and leave that for later, because now we will get into his leg assembly. Here is where I like to take this off, because we are going to be taking the parts forming route so that we get a more accurate robot mode. So yeah, we just take those out. And however, if you're going to want to use it where it's not parts formed, you're going to take this, move it up, swivel it around, and move it back, so that these are on the outside of the legs. Do that like so. Yeah. From there, you're going to want to take the legs, fold them out like this, which will probably untab these from each other, if they haven't already been tabbed. I'm going to take that, swivel it around, and then swivel it so that the legs are properly formed with the combiner ports outside of the legs like that. From there, we move to the back of the legs, pop these feet out like so, and then pop the kibble in to fill the space. And you're going to do that on both sides. And honestly, that's a bit tight. And these panels also like to pop off, kind of like that one dude's head that we mentioned previously. From there, moving upward, you're going to want to take the cannons you took off previously and put them in here on the back in these two little portholes, as you can see, like so. From there, you're going to swivel these arms down on their ratchets, and then you're going to want to swivel the arm around like so, and that's why I told you not to have that in yet, so that, yeah, and then you do it on both sides, and boom, you got his arms. From there, you move to his back, move this stuff back, unpeg this panel here, which you can see like so, unpeg the panels like so, move the head out, and then plug it all back in so that the head panel is steady. I'm gonna move off camera since this is a bit hard since I put everything on the back. Yeah, just make sure you click it right into place like so. From there, you take your torso, move it in, peg it in, and then moving him back a little. You take the shield, you want to swivel these up so that they are in combined mode configuration, and then you're going to take this 5mm port here and put it into this 5mm slot there, and boom, you got your shield, and then from there, you swivel the head around, and there you have the leader of the group, Halfshell. So yeah, let's get him cleaned up and give him a closer look, and yeah. So yes, now we have Halfshell all transformed, and in all honesty, he's probably my favorite figure of the set, let's be honest. Not including the combined mode, obviously, but of the individual robots, he's probably my favorite. And to figure out why, let's get a closer look at him. Starting off with the head, this does the one thing with the head that a lot of these figures haven't been able to do. It uses a different color than white. As such, the difference in color allows him to just have a good amount of detail that's visible, you know? You can see it, especially in the way that it's sculpted. I love the head design here. I think it's my favorite head design. I love the way that the face mask works and the red eyes and everything. I really enjoy it. The only thing I'm really a bit annoyed about is A, the head's a bit tiny, and B, it's a bit far back from looks-wise, because let's turn him to the side here real quick. You can see how much head there is, where the head is, and where the torso is, you know? So it's just like... But, like, I get it with what they had to remold, but it is a tiny bit annoying. Moving to the torso here really quickly, there are no faux parts here. On one end, that's really cool. I really like how they were able to create this, honestly, pretty cohesive-looking torso out of just bits that were already there. It's made up of the legs and the turtle head. However, the downside is that it's kind of big and bulky, you know? I mean, it's fine, but like I said, I think this is where the torso problem comes in, where it kind of juts out a bit. If I kind of wish they were able to flatten it down, but once again, I get it. It's a remold of Hunger. It's a remold of Hunger. I get it. It's fine. It's not great, but it is fine. It's fine. I completely understand. Yeah. Continuing on the torso, these specks of the bluish green on the torso really take, especially when we get to the legs, really takes over the color scheme in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. This color differentiation really helps them to stand out amongst the group, and also helps with the build of the big final robot, which, again, we'll get to it in the final part of this review. So yeah. Moving on to the arms, these are the turtle legs. So there's not too much need to talk about. One thing I do like let's start with this arm. I kind of wish that he had 5mm ports here, but it's fine. You know, so he could hold the cannons. Once again, he has the silver on the upper arms, the thing that I really liked from this guy. You know? That really helps to differentiate him a little bit and allows his color scheme to feel a bit more cool and clean and cohesive, I guess. I don't know. And then the lower arms, once again, more of that brilliant white that I've been gushing about this entire review, mixed with a bit of that nice green plastic. And then the hands are, yes, they're a bit wide, But it's fine. I get it. It's for transformation. I like how you can still kind of flip these forward and be like, oh yeah, knuckle bruisers or whatever. You know? If that makes sense. So yeah, very nice arms. To look at the other arm real quick, I gotta zoom out for this. The shield's pretty cohesive. It's not amazing. It's fine. However, I do kind of like how it looks. I like to have them in this configuration, which is the official configuration, I guess, rather than the one where you have the guns on the legs and the shield on the back. I just think this works better. Speaking of the guns on the back, I think his back cleans up pretty well. Especially since you can take off the shield kibble, but you don't have to. That's probably my favorite element. For people who really hate parts forming, and there are a lot of people who really hate parts forming in this community, you don't have to. It's a choice, and I just prefer this choice, personally. And speaking of, I really like the cannon effect here. It reminds me of Blastoise a lot. You know, I'm a Pokemon guy. I like Pokemon, even when they really, really, really screw up. But yeah, I do like these kind of Blastoise-y cannons, you know? However, the front look is a little bit annoying for the cannons. The blue's just kind of there. Let me know if there are any fixes you guys can think of. Maybe in a certain company that I saw makes an upgrade set for the normal version of this. Maybe they could make a God Neptune version rather than just doing King Poseidon. I don't know. Maybe if so, we'll get a continuation of this reviewing that. So, yeah, moving on to the legs, let's zoom in here. The hips, once again, are in that nice brilliant green, and I really like it. And the upper legs are in bronze. I think it's bronze paint. I don't think there's any bronze plastic in this set. I think it's bronze paint because, like, these are painted. So, yeah, I think it's bronze paint. But if it is bronze plastic, be careful with it, just in case there is GPS. I mean, be careful with this entire set, obviously, it's very expensive, but, like, yeah, be careful. GPS is a scary thing, you know. I also really like how bulky these lower legs are. Like, honestly, these gaps are a bit annoying, but it's fine. But I really like how bulky they are, and it really gives them an air of strength that comes from him being a Voyager. I also really like how the backs of these clean up, with the white panels just kind of covering up any old gappage. And I do really like the feet, if they are a bit small and wibbly, which leads them to fall sometimes. But, yeah. I also really love the sculpting throughout the body. I think he's sculpted very well. I love the detailing. You know, really helps him to fit in with a Modern Generations collection, which has been adding so much detail that it's beautiful, you know? To sculpts, it just adds that little air of, how should I say it, like, complexity to something that's relatively inexpensive compared to, like, Masterpieces. Because, oh goodness, when Masterpiece gets around to making a combiner, it's going to be like $600. $500, $600. And it's like, oh. We can already see it from third-party companies how expensive big Masterpiece scaled combiners are going to be, and it's just like, So yeah, overall, I do think he is the best looking of this set. But there's more to that makes him my favorite of the set. A lot of it comes down to his accessories. To start off, we got feet, and he doesn't come with hands! Yay! And also, these feet are identical, but you're able to, for robot mode, you're going to want to fold them up so that they're kind of guns. And they actually have a place in the robot mode that works as a decent accessory. Two, actually. First off, obviously, they have their gun mode, which I like to take off the claws for, especially since my claws are a bit floppy on there. I might want to add a bit of super glue to that peg, see if that helps, you know? But yeah. You're able to have these as some big guns, you're able to have two of them, and since they are on 5mm ports, you just gotta peg them right in there. And boom, gun, with a ratchet joint in the middle that's shifting it to the side a little bit. I'll have to adjust that. And I think the guns look fine. They're obviously feet, but like, I gotta get that multi-use level of the hand-foot guns in there. But like, these do it in a much more effective way, honestly. Yeah, we'll get to the... Yeah, I'm gonna say this now during accessories since you're seeing it as an issue. I've been finding he's had a bit of an issue balancing throughout this review. Part of that is probably just from me being super far away from it, and having to do poses like this, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Just be careful with him. He's expensive. He's expensive, so you just need to be careful with the baby. However, as previously mentioned, the feet can become claws, and as you can see, they also have 5mm ports, which allows you to just plug. Ah, Jeebus. Oh no. Oh yeah, these are on 5mm pegs, so you can just pop them right back in there. Sonny, let me fix them up real quick. So yeah, as previously mentioned, these claws are on 5mm pegs, which you can see back there, and you can port them into his hands and use them as a claw weapon, which that's so freaking badass. It covers up his hand pretty well to make it look like it's just the claw, and you get 2 of those, so you can have him dual wielding it. It's so freaking cool, dude. It's a amazing use of these foot accessories. I just think it's very smart. So yeah, good job, Takara. Smart, good smart job. Good smart job, Takara. However, other than that, for his accessories, he comes with this massive freaking gun, dude. Once again, uses 5mm port system, and you can see all these 5mm ports on it as it becomes a base for a honestly kind of ugly looking combined gun. But it is honestly pretty massive for him. You can plug it right into his hand, as with any 5mm generations weapon, and yeah, it's a bit heavy for his arm. So, yeah, I don't usually pose him with this, I usually pose him with a different accessory, which we're about to get to right now. Finally, you get his sword. You got a pretty long handle, but this becomes the base of the big giant combining sword in the combine mode, but you could barely tell that it combined with a bunch of other weapons. Like, it's so well done on its own, but then the combine mode is also super well done. And then to get it into his hand, it's the same as usual, and this is the accessory I like to keep in, where he's got sword in one hand, shield in the other, you know, like, so, you know? This is what I like to keep him with, you know? Because I think it's pretty cool. That's not a great pose, but I just kind of had to do it on the fly. So yeah, sword's my favorite accessory for him, in my personal opinion. Claws are a close second. And with all those accessories basically making him a modern leader class, he's got to have some good articulation, right? I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. It's probably the best out of the set. Probably. Close. Maybe still is a bit better. I don't know. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with the head is on a ball joint, which allows it to swivel, but is a bit more expressive. It allows him to look up a bit and down a bit more expressive than some of the ball joints on the other figures in the set. As previously seen, the shoulders are on these crazy tight ratchet joints, but that's just because it does become the basis for the leg in the combine mode, so it kind of makes sense, I guess. From there, he's also able to move out on some pretty decent ratchets, which are probably the best ratchets in the set, because they don't feel like you're going to break the figure whenever you move them. He's got a biceps level, which is pretty loose, but is much more tolerable here than it was in the beast mode. Has a bending knee that goes about 90 degrees, if I can get that in the frame properly, and yeah. You can say, I guess, that his hand's able to move out, but that doesn't look great now, does it? Oh no, I hit the... Sadly, there is no waist swivel, but I guess I kind of get it because of the cavity in the back. The hips, they are on ratcheted joints forward and backward, and he's able to do the full forward and back. And his hips are on also faux ratchets, I think these are, which allow him to get all the way out to your heart's desire. And I did knock off the shield from the arm, it's fine though. His thighs do have a swivel cut, using a typical mushroom peg. His knees are double hinged, which allow him to go super far back, but they are honestly a tiny bit loose, but it's fine. And then his feet are on hinges that allow him to go forward all the way, backward a decent amount, and are on ball joints that allow him to have an ankle pivot, which is a nice rarity among this set. So yeah, the only real problem with this guy is I think he's a bit back heavy, which leads to, I guess, stability issues, but the articulation other than that is honestly pretty darn good. I do wish he had a waist swivel, but that's really all he's and the hand swivels, I guess. But that's really all he's missing to hit that siege standard, you know? That I've been spoiled by. So yeah, honestly, pretty good figure that still holds up. Whose remold still kind of holds up a decent amount to this day, you know? And all the remolding definitely helps to make him look a lot better. And the fact that he doesn't have stickers. I have once again put him here in a basic pose for the sake of size comparisons. So to measure him out using our typical measuring stick, he's a lot taller than the rest of the crew, standing at about, I'm gonna say, let's get it closer a bit. I'm gonna say 7 and a bit inches to the top of the head, and about 8.5 inches to the top of the cannons. And comparing to other figures, here we have Iron Man, the Primes, Skylynx, Coulter, and some fellow Predacons. So, yeah, I think this is my favorite figure of the set. Part of it is definitely his size, but also I think he's got my favorite design out of all of them. He has some of the best articulation out of all of them, if it is a bit wibbly-wobbly. And I think he's got the best accessories out of all of them, because he actually makes use of the limb parts that he has by not just slapping it onto his alternate mode, which I didn't even feel like showing because I didn't even really count it. But yeah, strong ratchets, sometimes a bit too strong. And just a great design really helps this figure go above and beyond your typical Generations figure, which is why it's in the Generations Selects line. But yeah, I know this isn't why you're here. I know what you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for the big boy, my first combiner, God Neptune, which we will get into in the next part of this review. So let's throw everybody in there, and let's tip him over, because that's the bit. Let's throw them in there very heinously, a bit too heinously for a set this expensive. And let's review this set as a whole, baby.